There we go. That should be working now. Lovely. Okay. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. Perfect. Okay, bear with everybody. So we're going to get Linda and Penny in now and get things started. So welcome everybody. My name is Maxwell and I am your new host for Osseo Talk. We're going to be bringing you a series of interviews, casual talks, etc. So today we've got Penny and Linda joining us, who are two people with OsseoIntegration. They've had it for, both of them are coming up on a decade now. So this year they will have had it for 10 years. So we're just going to be having a very casual chat to get their experiences, their tips and tricks, etc. Kind of telling you how their journey has been, everything, absolutely everything. So the aim of this is genuinely just to educate anybody that wants to learn about osseointegration. So if you are, whether it's the first time you've heard about it, whether you've got it yourself and maybe you got it 1 or 2 years ago, and you just have any questions, you want to understand things, know some tips and tricks, put your questions in the comments down below, and we are going to be getting them all answered for you today. Yeah, also we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting. Lovely. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
There we go. I think we're both in okay.
Oh, we're dressed in black.
Oh, yeah. Wow, matching. Shall I change?
We didn't get
I missed the memo.
Oh, no, that's right. Odd one out.
Right. How are you feeling?
Good.
You guys excited?
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, it's 3 minutes before it officially starts, so I think we can have some casual chit chat for now, and then once it gets to the official start time, we'll make a proper start. I'll get you two to introduce yourself, just give a little brief introduction on who you are, how you came to have osseointegration, etc., and then we'll get straight into the questions and take it from there.
Sounds good.
So how's both of your days been today?
Quiet, actually.
You done much? You been out?
The weather's horrible. No.
Are we talking at the same time?
Yeah, I know. We're just in sync. No, it's been horrible here. It's just rained. It's constantly been raining. We're supposed to get rain again for the next week, so we didn't really do much.
That's quite funny because here in the UK we've got dazzling sunshine right now. So
jealous.
For once in my life, I'm happy to be in the UK and not Australia, which I never thought I'd say.
Yeah. How's it with all your storms and stuff that you've been having? Has it died down, Penny?
Oh yeah, they only lasted 2 days.
Oh, cool.
Not really. It's quite Wellington to have storms, so we don't get too worried about them. To be fair, the wind was pretty horrific. But
yeah.
Vanessa Wild. Sorry, not to cut you off, Penny. We've just got a question from Vanessa Wild. She's asking if Munjed's going to be joining. So no, there's no Munjed today. This is just a chat between myself and Penny and Linda. where they will be sharing their experiences on osseointegration. Yeah, sorry to cut you off there, Penny. She asked a few times. Wanted to make sure she was getting answered. Lovely. So we'll give it another. We've got about 15 people in now, which is good. Good start.
That's good.
Right then. Well, I think we're on the time now, so let's make a start. So one thing that we wanted to touch on now is that you two are friends, and you kind of met through osseointegration as you sort of went through it at the same time, had your surgeries at the same time. So tell us a little bit that kind of how you two first came to meet as well.
Do you want me to go first, Lynn?
You can. Yeah, you stalked me and sent me messages, and we went from there.
I think.
Go.
Surgery. Linda and I on Instagram, so we kind of knew each other on socials. And then Linda had surgery a couple of months before me. So then liaised, and then when it was my turn, we did a couple of physio sessions together. I don't think we did much physio. We did a lot of yapping, and not much of doing much else really. And then from there, we remained really solid friends, and we class each other as our besties, and we just always been there to support each other over the last 10 years.
Nice. So we'll do little brief introductions about yourselves as well. So sort of explaining how you became to receive amputation and then osseointegration. Just a little brief introduction for everybody watching.
I'll start. I had an accident in February of 2014, which 2 days later resulted in the amputation of my right leg below the knee. So then I had a socket for 20 months. But in that meantime, I had discovered osseointegration, decided to look into it, and went down that path in the September of the following year, 2015.
Nice. And how did you actually find out about osseointegration?
I think it was online through socials. Like I was on Facebook in a couple of some pages. I'm not sure if it was some of the American pages of the amputee pages. I think it was just through there. I think somebody else had it, and I just commented on her post, and then I think from there I sort of discovered osseointegration, and then just looked into it through there and found Unfiltered and went through it through there. So
amazing. Yeah. Okay. And Penny?
I became a bilateral knee amputee in 2009, and that was through meningococcal septicemia. So skin is heavily scarred. I wore sockets for 5 years, but had continual skin breakdown and really ill-fitting sockets. It just really didn't work that well. Through frustration, I was searching for a fee, and I ended up in Sydney at a conference. Munjid was presenting conference, and so I went in and listened, and at that point I didn't realise that it was you could have it for below knee. It was only ever told in New Zealand that it was for above knee amputees. So I got talking to and Belinda at the conference, and then from there, I think on the Monday I went out to Norwest and had all the tests done, and then I continued to travel backwards and forwards to Australia for about a year, going to the different clinics to meet the results, and then a year later I had the surgery.
Okay, amazing. And so if we kind of go back a bit to sort of the very beginning, if you could both talk a little bit about your lives. So after you'd been amputated, what was life like before osseointegration? What were your kind of experiences? How are you finding things at that point?
I didn't have a huge amount of problems. I think I just had the usual, I guess, issues, if you want to call it, like you would have. So constantly, changing socks because your stump is, shrinking or swelling, and just changing of the sockets. And then I'm always quite active, so it's that constant sweating with your liner and not feeling secure. I don't think I like that feeling, like, because I used to, run a bit, do like high impact exercises, stuff like that. And I'm constantly always checking to see that, my leg's not slipping and the liner's not coming off and stuff like that. So I had more issues with those types of things. Yeah, that's why I decided that I would look into the osseointegration, because it's just a lot more natural having that, integration straight into your bone, so you don't have to think about anything anymore. So now it's just like walking and doing, everything that I do, and you don't have to think twice about, is your leg going to fall off? I mean, I've had times when I've been on a bike and my legs sort of slipped off and stuff like that. So I mean, I think that's the thing that I like, as well as having that security of knowing that it's there all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
For me, my life in a sock was pretty miserable, to be fair. I had limited. I kind of wobbled around. Gait was terrible. I wobbled from side to side, and I knew I potentially damaged as I was slopping around in these what I called buckets of sockets. My leg would the volume significantly through the day, and so yeah, I was piling up with socks and just forever having sockets that didn't fit. That was the functionality side. And then the other side is that I had skin breakdowns continuously, because my skin is so heavily grafted that it's pretty delicate. So the friction of liner and then a sock fitting properly, I have skin breakdowns continuously. So mobility-wise, life wasn't 5 years of joy, put it that way. It was pretty interesting, yeah.
For both of you, when you were kind of considering osseointegration, what was there like anything specific that you were really, looking forward to doing? What was sort of the main driving reason that you wanted to get out of it? What were you sort of most, hoping to be able to achieve?
We're both fitness.
What was that, Penny?
I said we're both fitness mad.
Yeah.
But also able to walk and continuously walk forever, like not for a long time. I mean, I average 10,000 steps a day. Absolutely, I could do it. I hardly take my car anywhere. I walk to work, walk home, as well as do my thing. So, yeah, couldn't have done it. I live in a city as well, so going up and down hills was always a struggle, whereas now it's just easy.
Yeah.
I don't think you realise how much your gait changes once you're in a socket. You think that you're walking okay, and then once you have osseointegration and you start walking and you're doing your physio, that you realise how much it has, how bad it is. That's right.
Well, I basically had to learn how to walk again to correct bad habits I had.
Yeah. Well, especially you with both.
I had no good or any bad habits, and a lot break those habits and read again.
Yeah. So I think the one thing about both of you two is that you are fitness mad, and everybody loves it, because we get so much like workout content from you both, and you're both so great at it, and people love seeing it, because I think it's, it inspires a lot of people as well who are in a similar situation. Did you try, like, the activities that you do now? were you wanting to do those before you had osseointegration? Like, were you trying to do it with a socket and just finding that it was just too difficult, uncomfortable, etc.? Or did you only really get into it after you had osseointegration? You were like, oh, I can do this now, let me give it a try.
I always was into fitness, so I was a personal trainer beforehand, so was always doing those types of things. But now I'm heavily into CrossFit, and I don't think with a socket I would have thought about doing it. I mean, I've only been doing CrossFit for the last 3 years, but I think I would have really struggled doing. I mean, I know there is a lot of people that do CrossFit with sockets, but yeah, I actually didn't think that I would be able to do some of the things that I do now with a socket. Yeah.
And we do train differently. Like I do not do CrossFit.
Yeah, it's not for everyone. I'm the same. I've done CrossFit a few times, and it's like 10 minutes in, I can't breathe, and I'm like, I'll go to the gym and I just lift weights. That's what I like to do. So yeah. CrossFit is. I just hate being out of breath.
Yeah. You're correct.
I'm a bit crazy. Yeah.
Party this morning and did that. So
nice.
Training and being able to I don't know that I could imagine doing that in a socket. I feel like my leg would pop out as you were doing like some of the movements. And I generally like cycling. I do weight training as well, but not to the extreme that Linda does it. Yeah.
But even riding, like I was riding a lot outdoors, but I do a lot of indoor cycling now. I used to finish like a 10K ride or whatever I used to do and have to take my socket off and the liner off and have like about this much full of sweat in the bottom of my liner. Like at least now you don't have to even worry about that. My stump sweats. Because I think, and I always put it down to not like, your feet sweat, but not having a foot, so your stump seems to sweat. So my stump sweats quite a bit, but at least now you don't have to have the worry about, having your liner filling up with sweat and having that type of issue as well, which I like. Okay. Yeah.
We've got a few questions coming through in the chat, so we'll go through a few of those now. So Gary Chapman, thank you for your comment. Gary said, I'm a below knee with Osseo and I never take my leg off, even to sleep. I seem alone with this. What's your experience?
No, I don't sleep with it. No.
I don't sleep with mine either. I keep mine on all day, and the only time I take mine off is to go to bed.
Same. I'm the same. Unless you do too many wines and you can't take it off. That's my only time I've ever slept with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always take mine off. It's hard. You don't want to I don't want to kick Steve with it when I'm asleep. They're not a soft thing. It's not like the same as your actual leg. So no, I don't like.
There are others that do sleep with them on. Like Gareth always has. So he's he's always personal preference.
Yeah.
Just you on that one then, Gary. We've got a question from Robin Collins. She's asked you, Penny, are you above or below?
Bilateral below.
There you go, Robin. Vanessa Wild has asked, question for both of you. Which hospitals did you have your surgery done at?
Macquarie.
Both Macquarie, wasn't it? Yeah, in Sydney. Yeah. So, Linda, are you? I know you're from Australia. Are you close to Sydney?
Like an hour and a half away. So it's
Macquarie. Okay, so it's not too bad then.
So north of Sydney.
And then Penny, how long's the travel for you from New Zealand to Sydney?
Just over 3.5 hours. It's not far.
Oh, okay, that's not. I thought it was a bit further than that. It's not too bad.
No.
Nice.
No. Macquarie was great though. Like I feel like as a whole, with all the supermarkets and all the shopping are really close by, it's really handy for you, especially from an international point of view, when you're staying local to the hospital and your friends or family. there is access to that stuff, whereas Norwest was a little bit more isolated at the time that I had the surgery.
Okay. So when you were both considering osseointegration, how did you sort of weigh up the decision? You know, what were the sort of questions you had in your mind? What were the things you were considering when looking at it as an option?
A long-term thing, I think I was thinking as well, like, is there any thing that we need to be doing? Like, once we had it done, is it a lifetime thing, or is it something that needs constant, like, surgeries and stuff like that? I think that was one of the things that I was thinking of. Yeah. Which, I mean, I've only had a few surgeries to change the dual cone, plus also I've had a refashion of that stump as well. So, but nothing major since I've had it. I mean, it's been 10 years, so.
For me was like putting up the network for me was one of the, like being in New Zealand and having the team in Australia and making sure that I supported in some way. That was a big concern for me to start with. But the team that has wrapped around him, the prosthetics and the physios, etc., that left me really quickly once I'd all of them. And then under the long-term maintenance of everything and what be I've had both ones put in time, and yeah, probably it. I mean, in the when I was at the year, patients were doing recovery. It gave me time frame also. So I kind of, I think I was really by what the head of.
Yeah, I think that's very important. I think a lot of people considering it, the main thing they want to understand is just what does it look like after osseointegration? What does their, I mean, we have another patient, Stephanie. I was looking through one of her interviews that we did with her the other day, and she was kind of explaining how going into it, she had the mindset and understood that after osseointegration, it's kind of her responsibility to look after it, make sure she's, you know, maintaining it well, doing the correct things like exchanging parts, etc., to make sure that she's on top of it and also not putting herself in any situations where she could harm herself with it. And I thought that was quite, like, it's an important thing for people to understand when they're going into it, not to go into it blindly, but to make sure they have a full understanding of what it's going to look like for the time after you have osseointegration.
And I think that's an important factor to think, is that the surgery part and the immediate recovery afterwards is like done, but that it's the afterwards that you actually get to. So not fix the implant in, and before you know it, you can get up and carry on. It's time to integrate, and for a 2-year process for me to actually be a integrate and on my right path with learning how to re-walk and do muscles wasted away. That took 2 years to regather all. And then the people that play that athletic team that you need to with. And I think, and you work yourself, like you have to be really want it.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay, lovely. We've got a few more. We've got quite a lot of questions coming through in the chat, to be honest. So we'll start with, we've got some from Jade Harrington. So she has asked, what challenges, if any, have you faced with osseointegration?
For me, So early on, I jumped out of the way too fast and learnt my lesson very, very quickly. So instead of taking that process, slow integration slowly, I pushed myself too hard, too fast, and one of my implants came loose. So it loosened, it started going around inside the cavity. So that was a frustration with me because I ignored what I should have been doing and was pushing myself too far. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that I had to get a smartwatch, because at the time you that I keep walking, I feel really good, but 2 days later, I had to then start tracking steps to make sure that I wasn't over it. So that was a key for me, early stages. And then challenges with funding, I guess, with componentry in New Zealand. It's a battle. The way that our set up were the componentry side of things. So with my foot and everything. So that is ongoing for me. Yeah, that's probably the biggest. I've had one infection. It was dealt with pretty easily. Out of my stone, and I charge irritation around. So I'm pretty lucky in that regard. And no either.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, that's me. Linda.
I've been pretty good, actually. I haven't had any issues or challenges. It's more like you sort of said, as actually listening to your body and knowing what you can and can't do to push yourself on what. I mean, I think I challenge myself a little bit more now, but it's been 10 years. So I am doing things that I probably wouldn't have done, 8 years ago. So I was always listening to my body, knowing what I can do, didn't push myself. Like you said, with infections, I had one infection probably 2 years ago, and that was when I was in hospital having my refashion, and they found an infection. But apart from that, I don't know if you could say lucky, but I've been pretty good with it all.
But and I do have a pretty high protein, clean kind of, and we kind of always think that then is what comes. So we do way.
I think that helps too, definitely.
Penny, your microphone's just a little bit choppy. I'm not sure if maybe you just need to go a bit closer or maybe speak up a little bit. Just had a couple of comments from people saying that it's chopping out a little bit.
I'm missing every second or something words. I'm just trying to picture what you're saying.
Oh, okay. We'll see how
I'll just make up what you're saying. It's okay.
We can lip read as well. So next question we've had then is, what is the daily... Oh, she's vanished.
She's gone.
And she's back.
You said the wrong thing.
I've offended her.
She's back.
Trying to reconnect.
Okay. Let's try a sentence, Penny. Can you hear us, Penny?
I can hear you, yeah.
Well, there we go. That sounded crisp.
It did?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I think we're good.
You guys, with you now. You guys are breaking up for me.
Oh dear. Okay, we'll continue anyway, and we'll see how we get on. So, question from Jade again. What is the daily maintenance / hygiene like for you with osseointegration?
I don't do anything amazing. I shower. So when I shower, I just wash it with my normal body sort of wash. And when I go to bed, because I get a little bit of ooze, I know Penny doesn't. I just have baby wipes. So when I go to bed, I'll if I need to clean it up a little bit, like I don't try and touch it too much. I will like use a baby wipe or something just to give it a bit of a clean. And then I always put like a little makeup pad on my leg just so that if I do get some ooze at night, it doesn't go on my sheets. But apart from that, yeah, that's the only sort of maintenance of the stoma that I do, which I think you're pretty similar to, aren't you, Penny? You just wash it in the shower and that's about it.
Yeah, I find less is more with your stoma. Yeah. If you just have a shower, I just shower with normal body wash, them alone basically, and I find that works the best.
Nice. Lovely. Yeah, you're sounding a lot better as well, Penny, so that's good. Another question then from Emma Jones. She's asked, hi there, having Osseo in about 3 months. She's a left leg through knee amputee. Have either of you travelled to countries where the water might be a bit more questionable? So maybe if you're showering in different countries or swimming in the water or doing activities, etc. Have you came across that?
Yeah, yeah, I've travelled since I've had it to like Bali, wow, Thailand, Vanuatu, Europe. I think the first year that I did have Osseo, that year we did travel to Bali. When I showered, and I don't know if I went overboard, but this is what I did. I took cling wrap with me and I wrapped my leg with cling wrap and showered that way. So just to be sure, because it was so new too, like I think it was the year after, but I just wanted to be sure. I don't swim in like public pools, especially over there, but even here, like I'll only swim in my pool, and the lake that I go to when we go out here in Lake Macquarie is a coastal saltwater lake, so I get as much salt, like, because it's clean salt water as I can, especially like with the ocean. But apart from that, I don't swim in public pools. I don't go in spa baths because of the could be like bacteria and stuff, I guess, with the heat and stuff like that. So yeah, I've never had any issues. Like when I go overseas, I used to always, and I still do, like I will take antibiotics over with me just in case I get an infection. I've never had to use them, but always good to have them just in case.
And I do the same. Like, so I have the extent of, but that's just a Linda thing. Antibiotics wherever I go. Notice a bit of change in your stoma when you're using different shower water too. I notice like when I was like my stomas can change slightly, and it's just water that it's not used to. And I've never had any problems.
Okay. Yeah, because I know for you as well, Linda, you go paddle boarding. You do quite a lot in the water by you, don't you? Yeah.
And salt water is always good for it. So like when I go out in the boat, I always make sure that, even if I'm not going for a swim, I put my legs in just so that it gets some salt water.
Don't swim in
Yeah.
I learnt my lesson with that one.
Don't swim in a where, sorry?
Don't swim.
A coral reef.
Oh dear. Why?
There's in the water off whatever, and it gets into your stoma.
Oh wow.
Oh, the corals.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Interesting.
Stay away from those.
Yeah. We'll do that.
So Penny, question for you. Jade Harrington, she has asked, what is the care like being further away from the team, and have you found a good team to support you closer to home?
Am I cutting out stuff, or am I?
You are a little bit sometimes. It's better than before, but
okay. So my care is to London Munjit, so I see him yearly. I get raised down in New Zealand, and and he has a look to check. And I and while I at APC, and she checks. New Zealand sport average, the nicest way I can say it. But I'm working on it. I was one of the first to have it done, so it's new territory for them. So yeah, we're trying to make it moving forward. But I generally work with the Australian team.
Yeah. Okay. And I suppose for you, Linda, because you're still in the area, do you go to Macquarie for your care still?
Yeah, I still go and see Munjid once a year for my checkups as well. So
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the questions, everyone, so far as well. We've got 40 viewers in currently across all the platforms, which is really good. We've got a lot of questions.
Nice.
So everybody that is watching, just to kind of remind you, ask all the questions that you have, because Penny and Linda have both had osseointegration for 10 years now. So, this is a great opportunity to ask any burning questions that you might have. So get them in while you can. Got another one then. Somebody's asked about hypergranulation. And if either of you have ever had experiences with that, what it was like for you.
Yeah, I have. It's very early, and it was just silver nitrate sticks that got rid of it, monitored by my own doctor at home. And yeah, no problem with that. Only got it once.
Nice. And did that the silver nitrate sticks? Did that clean it up relatively quickly?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, that's good. And you, Linda? Sorry.
No, I did. Munjid actually took it off surgically when I had a dual cone replaced once, and I had some other issues with my left leg that I had operated on at the same time, so he just sorted it out then.
I think the key is not to leave it. It's starting to open, to get onto it as soon as you can.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody else has asked, are you both patients of Munjid? And what was your did you consider other implants, other surgeons, and how did you end up deciding to go with Munjid?
I went with Munjid because he's in Sydney, so he's like an hour and a half away. So, and there's nobody else here. So, and happy I did. He's been amazing. Like, I've never had any problems. If I've had any issues, just, can call or send a message and he's onto it straight away. So yeah, no problems at all.
I didn't have any options in New Zealand, so Munjid was it for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fair enough.
And like Linda, I've had a great experience with him too. He continues to do this support the last 10 years.
Okay. So we have another question. Somebody's asked, are you able to drive a car without modifications? Do you both drive?
Yeah.
How was how did you find driving again for like the first time after having it?
Felt more secure. It's so that way when you're driving.
Yeah. So much better with Osseo than a socket. Definitely, you can feel, it's like you can feel the pedal. It just feels more natural than actually having a socket. So definitely.
Were you both driving with sockets as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was just uncomfortable and hard to do, maybe.
It's always
you couldn't really, I used to slip my foot off the pedal, or you couldn't really feel, like you couldn't feel what you were doing, where you can feel what you're doing now.
A bit of guesswork then.
It was me.
Yeah.
You drove by memory.
Yeah.
Okay. Got a lot of messages coming through. Sorry, I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat. So I'm just trying to pick out a good question for you. So post-operation, how long were you both in hospital for?
few weeks, only because I stayed at Macquarie for my rehab, which was, I didn't, like, normally you go to the Hills, I think that's one of the rehabs near Macquarie, and I ended up staying in there. So I think no more than 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I feel like I was 2 days in hospital and then did my rehab at Macquarie, but as an out.
Yeah.
Because I was like, get me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how were you finding the sort of rehabilitation that you were doing at home when you did go home?
It was good because I had constant contact with them, so I could send current walking style because it was all in my gait. So I was always with the team. It was had problems. I had a few trips to keep getting re and picking up any, or I spent a lot in Sydney.
Okay, nice. So we've had a comment from Bradley. Bradley Gillam has said, had my baloney osseo in November. I've only got a leg 4 weeks ago. So far, it's been a lot better than a socket prosthetic. I wish osseointegration was an option when I had my amputation. So not actually a question, but congrats, Bradley. Hope that's going smoothly for you. Hope you're having a good time, and we wish you the best throughout your journey. Jonathan Carr, he said, my chat's glitching right now, which is really useful. Okay. Emma Jones has asked, how did you feel when you looked at yourself in the mirror first time after osseointegration surgery?
No.
Yeah, how did that feel?
Oh, no, I don't. I think at first, you sort of look and you do see that, your jaw cone, sticking out of your leg, knowing that it's going to be there forever. But compared to having a socket, honestly, it didn't bother me at all.
It didn't bother me either. No covers or anything like that. I'm just all out, and it's fine. Like, as gives me my ability to live life. So it is what it is. Yeah.
I assume, because I do agree with that. Feel like I would assume that, some people might feel concerned about oh, how am I going to feel with osseointegration? Like, am I going to feel different? Is there going to be a mindset shift that I have to make to kind of accept that I have it? But I suppose when you are faced with what it can provide you, it probably just trumps it completely. And, it is just only a positive for you.
From 5 years in sockets that were put more holes in pants because of the way the sockets shaped. I was going through pants like no tomorrow, and they didn't really fit your pants either, because it was in the time where skinny leg jeans were in. You could put a socket up, especially. So I think having 5 years on a socket, you realize that benefits of osteo is amazing compared to my life in a socket. So I don't really worry about what it looks like, because I know the functionality is just so much better.
Yeah. Okay, great.
You've got to really have a good think about it before you have it, if you're going to worry about what you look like as well. I think that's another thing. Just have a really good think about what you actually really want, if that look of it's going to affect you, or people looking at you a certain way is going to affect you as well. So that's a big mental thing.
And people do stare, like there's no and we've about, especially when Linda and I are together and they just see our osteo legs coming down the street, that we get lots of staring, and you just learn to not worry about it. Like you completely, don't you? Kids are hilarious because they always call it
no.
Terminator. They're hilarious. Their parents are dying, but we just embrace them. It is
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's kids for you.
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Innocent.
So we've had another comment saying, I'm considering Osseo, and they want to know, what is it like having it as a woman, and can you wear heels?
You'd have to get a specific foot to be able to wear heels. I think ever since having, like, even with the prosthetic, I think I just started getting used to just wearing flat shoes. So, and I was never a heels person anyway. I could never walk in them. So if you do want to wear heels, you do have to get, and I don't know what the foot's called, but you do have to get a specific foot so that you are able to wear heels.
And I don't wear heels either, mainly because for me, I know that my shoes are going to stand all weather, all conditions, all kind of flooring, concrete, grass, whatever. And that fear of wearing a heel and slipping or whatever would just, I don't think that would be where I want to be. I'd rather be more solid on the ground.
Yeah. Okay, great. Again, everybody that's watching, thank you for the questions. There's a lot of good ones coming through. So again, just a reminder, ask every question that you can think of. The next one that we've had, Claire Marshall said, just to the both of you, thank you for sharing your experiences, Linda and Pen. You're both absolutely amazing.
Thank
So you two can enjoy that for a moment. Have your flowers.
Yeah.
Gary Chapman said, on the driving matter, I have a truck license, post-amputation, drive a manual car and ride a motorbike, all with no mods. So I think that was to the question earlier that I think Jurek had asked about driving with mods. So essentially, no, you don't need any modifications. One question has asked, with Munjed's team, because you both went to his clinic, what was the experience like with him and his team?
Everyone was really good. I don't think I've had any problems with anyone in the team. Same with you, Penny.
Years ago, there's a lot of people are now, like that's not the same team now as it was back then. So I never had any issues either. They were all very accommodating and ready, available to answer questions, help you out. So even from an international patient point of view, it was good.
Okay, amazing. What was the pain management like after surgery for you both?
Think back to then. I think it was actually probably for the first week or so. I mean, you do get certain pain medications and IV drugs and stuff. My pain was pretty bad, I think, for the first week. They always get it under control with, your medication and stuff. But I mean, I think it was just that initial week, and then after that, it was fine. But
they do.
I guess it's to be expected. You've had a major sort of operation. You're not going to have no pain whatsoever. And I think once they sort of worked out, I guess because there's that many different, medications that they can give you. So I think once they sort of worked out the right ones, for me, I was fine. But I think for the first week it was not amazing, but you get that.
I think mine was very similar to that too. And I think is the pain that comes through. And the staff at Macquarie were amazing. They were very good. So yeah, came about, and it just sort of settled down once you got on top of it. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, lovely. Jade has asked, you both said that your mobility increased when you changed from sockets to Osseo. How far were you able to walk with sockets compared to now with osseointegration?
For me, as a bilateral, I could only stand for about 15 minutes without getting sore in one spot. I never clocked my steps in a socket, but there's absolutely no way I would have more than 2,000 steps, I reckon, compared to 10,000 now. a day.
Yeah. Amazing.
I don't know what my step count would have been with a socket, but I pretty much can walk all day
Yeah.
now.
I
So
think that's the kind of what the thing that I hear from quite a lot of people is it's not really how far your legs will take you anymore. It's just how far do you want to go, or until you get tired as in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, when I go to Sydney for my over 20,000 some days, if I'm around Sydney getting done, walking in new componentry or whatever, I can easily come around there. I'm physically tired by the end of the day, but my legs could keep going if I need energy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So I want to ask you both, what is your best Osseo tip or trick that you've kind of discovered or evolved yourself?
What's yours?
What was that? My trick or my best advice? Is that what you're saying? What did you
Yeah,
say?
either or really. Like, well, I know, like Linda, for example, you at night time, you'll put makeup pads over your stoma at night. So I don't know anything that you've found, because with osseointegration, because it's not necessarily something if you're having a certain experience, you can't always just Google, oh, how do I resolve this issue? It's kind of like
true.
you will have had to figure out the best way to do certain things. So I was just wondering if there's anything off the top of your head where you were like, I don't know, maybe you found the best way to do something and it made your life a lot easier, if you have anything like that.
I can't think of any apart from my one that you said.
Yeah, sorry, I've stolen it.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Well, elaborate on it anyway, in case anybody hasn't seen the video.
I just get a makeup pads that you just buy from the chemist or whatever, and then I will just cut a slit in it and like a V, and then I just put it around like the dual cone, and then just tape it up where the stoma is, so that just in case, like if my leg oozes or whatever at night, at least it's not going to get on my sheets. So I mean, I do get a little bit of ooze if I'm wearing tight pants or pants all day. Sometimes I will put one on as well, so it doesn't go on my pants. So unfortunately, I do get that little bit of ooze. If I've got like loose pants on or shorts or whatever, like I don't put anything on. Like if it oozes, it's fine, it's not going to go on anything, and I think it's better to have that fresh air on your leg anyway, rather than having it like constantly like covered up all the time. But so like I said, the majority is like at night, every night, but that's probably about it. So yeah. It's handy and it's cheap.
I don't oozing. I don't really have to maintain my stomas or maintain themselves. But my biggest learning is that from the time you get the surgery to when you start progressing till you're fully integrated is not rush. Like, to take your time to integrate. I think things go wrong if you go fast. So I always just think it's nice and steady, easy, and things will happen as which I the hard way. That's kind of, I don't really, and I guess it's a mindset too. So you're going from being in sockets, walking around, to then going back into a wheelchair for a period of time, and then into crutches for a period of time, and then one crutch for a period of time. So you've got to have a mindset to know that you're needing them for a period before you can continue on unaided. And that's something you've got to get your head round to make sure that you're prepared for that transition.
Okay, well, that's great. Thank you for sharing those, both of you. So Sue Babs had asked, how many years ago did you guys have it done and above knee, below knee? So well, you've both had it for coming up on 10 years now, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. 10 years.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Then-
what month is it for both of you? Sorry.
Mine is the end of September. So September, yeah.
Mine's the end of November.
Nice. Are you
Yeah.
having?
We need-
I was going to say, are you having like an Osseo birthday party or anything?
I know, we should, hey.
I think you should, because 10 years as well. That's like a real,
10 years is
that's
pretty
something to
good,
celebrate.
Yeah. Definitely.
We'll get it organised. An Osseo party.
Yeah, I think so. I'll come to sit. I time it around
There you go.
Yeah. So we've had a question from Gary Chapman, a maintenance related question. He has asked, how many dual cones have you had to replace over the past 10 years?
I think I've done 3.
I've done 1.
Okay, well.
Mm.
Yeah. Lovely. Somebody else has commented, you two have basically had each other to go through this journey with, like asking each other questions, experiencing things together. And I think that's with like the osseointegration group, that's one thing that we want to try and build for people. Like we're trying to build a support network, whether it's, not even necessarily for people with osseointegration, but for amputees in general who might be feeling alone and need someone to talk to, ask questions to, etc. How do you think it helped you having each other to kind of go through it together with?
Oh, it definitely helps, especially if, something's going on and you don't know if it's right or not. At least you've got somebody to sort of ask, has this happened to you, or what do you think I should do? And yeah, before you actually sort of like, I guess, jump the gun and freak out and call Munjid or do whatever.
Yeah.
Like it is always nice to have somebody to chat to that way.
Yeah. And we know each other before. So I think by getting to know each other through Osseo, it's been really special because we have developed a really lovely friendship. And I don't know, I just think, we wouldn't have known each other without Osseo. So
definitely not. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's, we both each other in that way and support each other. But we do support lots of other people too, like through different groups and stuff. So
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. So John Carr has asked, weight bearing takes time. How long did it take after surgery before you could fully weight bear?
I
was slower than Linda.
I think a couple of months. It was 10 years ago. It's hard to remember. Somebody asked me some questions the other day and I'm like, I really should have written stuff down, but I guess you don't really think about it when you actually have it done. I'm thinking it was a couple of months, and that's just a rough. And I know that everybody's different, and I don't know now if things have changed on how they do the progressive loading and stuff like that. So, I think that it's a hard question to answer because I think everybody is different to how they, how their bones are and how they, weight bear that way. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on your weight, because you've got to go to the, half of your body weight to be, and then before you start even putting your on. And then for me as a bilateral, it's a lot slower than that. You don't have a good lean on feet.
Yeah.
So you're doing both at the same time. So it did take probably double the amount of time, to be honest, even longer than that.
Yeah.
But I'm struggling to recall how long that actually. But my total rehab time was around 2 years.
Yeah.
Doesn't is aided time, but thick of a process from Munjid, it was around 2 years.
Okay. Yeah, I think that is important to point out. I suppose somebody in the comments Graham's mentioned actually not to compare. We can't generalize the healing process because everybody's bodies are different, everybody's experiences are different. So it is going to be this is for everybody watching as well. Linda and
Yeah.
Penny are sharing their experiences. This is not a guide on what it's going to be like for you. Everybody's situation is completely different, of course.
Yeah.
Bradley Gillam has asked, were you slow loading or fast loading?
Slow.
Yeah, slow.
Yeah, both slow. And then I suppose, was there, when that decision was made, obviously I know that that's going to come from Munjed, did they explain to you why like slow loading was more preferable for you over fast loading, for example?
I don't think I was ever given the option for fast loading.
Yeah.
I was always slow. I don't know whether that's because I'm bilateral. I don't know, but I was given the plan, and I knew the plan from the get-go, and so I just did what I was kind of what I was told at the start, and then I got told off, because I didn't.
you got too excited.
So I really learned my lesson, and I did go very slow. So I guess I might have been cautious than needed, but I think slow and steady wins the race, to be honest.
Okay.
So you got to allow the time bone and the implant to integrate, and
in terms of the loading process, then can you explain what that actually looked like for both of you? Sort of what were you doing from the beginning? What did the initial stages of that look like?
I think at the big, like when you start loading in hospital, you have so they have scales, like body scales, and you have to like push down on them. Same with you, Penny, to say you've got so much weight on them. I don't know how to explain it the right way. So just say it's like, you've got to push down to so many kilos, and then just hold that for a while. And then you progressively load up. So you're putting more pressure and more pressure on it over a period at a time, until then you can put your prosthetic on and then start slowly loading that way. So it starts then with, your 2 crutches, but then you can't put full weight on it. And then you do that for so long before, I think I still went home with 2 crutches. And then after a while, I think once I got home after doing rehab and stuff, then I would go back and do physio, I think once a week for a while. And then they'd, check how everything was. And then from there, progressing from your 2 crutches, then you go from your 1 crutch and then so forth. So,
I had, so I was in a harness hospital because obviously bilateral. So I was doing it through that. So I progressed past that while I was in hospital, doing it through the scale. And then I actually went home here as well, because my muscles and everything were so weak from wastage in the socket. There was a lot that I needed to do on the rehab side, so that probably slowed things down a little. And then slowly from home, I did until I was my body weight and holding it for a time, can't remember. And then 2 crutches with only like 20% going through your legs, and the rest crutch. Picked up on at Munjed, I could progress on, and I never moved on until he told me I could, basically. Yeah.
Okay. So for both of you then, how did having osseointegration change your life? What sort of things did it mean that you got to do again, whether it was with your family, work, etc.? How did things change for you?
For me, it meant that I could I went on a school camp with my daughter when she was young, and a socket would have been quite horrendous. So do an outdoors camp was really good. That was one of the highlights. And then just being able to walk, exercise, work full time. I live life to the full. I don't actually think I live any differently to any of my friends. So whereas
Mm.
he lived in a socket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I just think it's not having to think about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like when you've got a socket on, you're always thinking, where am I stepping? What am I doing? Am I going to trip on that? Is there a hole there? Is that like with the Osseo? You don't really think that you're any different. Like you just feel like, you know, it feels like a part of your leg. You don't feel like you're any different to what you were before. So I think that sort of helped a lot, not having to sort of worry about what you were doing all the time.
Yeah. It was interesting. We had a fire at work, and I'm on the 7th floor in our work building, and we had a fire alarm. We all had to go down the stairwell, and I just mingled in with everybody else and went down the stairwells. Admittedly, I was by the rail because I just, for my own peace of mind. And when I got to the bottom and outside, my work colleague, oh my God, we didn't think about you. We just went.
Yeah.
And that's how we see you and we don't, if you've got a disability or need any extra assistance, because I'm so capable. I think that was like, now they've changed something to me now because their own feeling of good. I'm like, so that's quite interesting.
Yeah. Wow. So guys, just to remind everyone who is watching right now, ask as many questions as you can, because we've got 10 years worth of osseointegration experience in here right now. So this is a great chance. James Benson has asked, I'm considering osseointegration, but I'm thinking about infection. And he's asked, have you, either of you, experienced infection, and if it was managed okay?
I've only had one infection in the 10 years. That was 2 years ago. So I went into Macquarie. I had a refashion of my stump and the change of the dual cone, and they discovered an infection then. It was managed by IV antibiotics. Then when I went home, I think I was on oral antibiotics for a couple of months after that, and then that was it. So in the whole of my 10 years, I've only had one infection.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm going to have to move, sorry, because my phone's going to die, so I need to go somewhere.
I've had one major minor infection, one with just antibiotics. Yeah, nothing was off-putting or anything like that. Is he above neck?
Okay.
And
okay. Right, we'll see what other questions we have coming through. So Graham has said, pre-osseointegration, I wore a socket for 30 minutes per day. And post-osseointegration, I now wear it for 16 hours per day, which is amazing, really. I'm assuming that's a similar for you too.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Amazing. We're about to hit I think we have hit now. We've hit 7,000 followers on the osseointegration group, guys, which is very exciting. So thank you to you two, because we use a lot of the content that you make for us, which we're very thankful for. But we get so much good feedback on it because it's what people are asking us for. Like, people are always asking us that, like, they want to see what their life could look like with osseointegration. And everybody really enjoys seeing your workout videos. So thank you both.
We try and do stuff too, because it's like not everyone is, fitness crazy. Like,
yeah, that's true.
It's quite nice to be able to see people like just walking stairs and knowing that you can navigate that up and down and those easy things also.
Yeah.
Or everyday life. What are you laughing at?
Steve just walked in and sees me sitting on the floor, with my charger. It's like, oh, your battery died.
So Jade has asked, do you shower standing up? I'm a bilateral amputee with sockets, and I can't remember the last time I showered standing up.
Oh my God, I know that feeling. In sockets, no, I used to sit down, but in osteo, I have shower legs and I stand up and shower, and it's the best feeling in the world.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I suppose, yeah, going back to how we were saying, not everybody is a fitness fanatic. Not everybody wants to do CrossFit. Normal daily life, what's changed there? Like just in terms of things like cooking, going up and down the stairs, like the sort of normal activities.
I don't even really think about it now because it's just so normal. Like you don't really have to think about anything because you can just do it. In sockets, I used to, if we were going somewhere, I would kind of like scope out where we were going and what the access was going to be like, etc., etc. Whereas now I don't even think about it. I just live.
Do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And being, 10 years into osseointegration, do you still get pain ever now?
No, I don't.
Phantom pain?
Anything really?
I get phantom pain. I get phantom pain still, not a huge amount. I get phantom sensation, so I've always got like that pins and needles sort of like feeling in my phantom foot. But that's probably about it. I don't actually get any pain
from the implant,
like the stump or anything like that. It's just but I still do. Yeah, I still get phantoms.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't get anything like that. Yeah, I do. Munjin made us back in the day. I don't know if he still does, but when 6 months prior to surgery, we used to. He used to make us take magnesium, and start to build up the stocks within your body with the magnesium. And I've just never ever stopped that. So I've continued that on. I have like 1,000 milligrams a day at night. So I don't know whether that is built up in my system that I don't get anything, but I'm pretty religious with taking it. So I've taken that for like 11 years now. So leading up to surgery and then upwards. Yeah.
So is that the magnesium then? Is that for pain management?
It's like a muscle. It like helps with your muscles and helps you relax. And, so if you've done exercise or you've just walked further than you would and your muscles are cramping, it just helps with all of that.
Yeah, takes away the soreness.
And I think it's one vitamin that the body doesn't actually produce anymore. So there was some theory behind that as well as to why we need it. Everyone needs it. But the dosage I take is quite high, like it's 1,000. One of the nurses at Macquarie said that if I had done extra and I was like feeling it, that I could have a maximum of 2,000 a day milligrams. And so, but I hardly ever have to do that.
Yeah. Okay. When you were sort of considering osseointegration as an option, what were your family's thoughts? Were they supportive? Did they have concerns, etc.? Because it's a life-changing decision to make. So of course you have to kind of consult with your families on things like that. Yeah.
Mine supported me whatever I was going to decide. Like I obviously showed them all everything that was leading up to it, and I had a whole year leading up to the actual surgery that I had done. I was visiting Australia and gathering information and everything. And I guess now when they look at me now, they're like, that's the best thing you've ever done. Like it's just they can see the quality of life that I have compared to what I had in 5 years in it. So they support me 100%. But at the time, I guess it was a foreign thing because it wasn't in New Zealand for below knee. So, it was kind of, they were just believing what I was saying.
Yeah.
But I was confident.
No, mine were, mine were really supportive. Steve was always coming to the appointments with me anyway, so at least he could hear, what it was all about. So yeah, no, and same thing too, like whatever I decided, they were happy with what I chose to do, so, which was good.
Okay. In terms of prosthetist visits, how often do you go now as an osseointegration user?
I only go when I need to get a change of, like if I need to change my foot or something like that. But I should go, I think you should go like once a year just to get all the componentries checked and cleaned and whatever. They can sort of check to see that everything's fine. I did go through a stage where I wasn't needing to, and they called me up to sort of say, is everything okay? I think you need to come in and see just for a checkup. And that's because I hadn't been for so long, which was really good. So I go to APC at Central Coast. They're really, really good. So, but yeah, I think you should, at least once a year to have your componentries checked. You wouldn't, what about you, Penny? Would
I
you
go once a year. So when I go to see my Marta at APC,
yeah,
and pulls everything apart and checks that there's no everything looks fine. And I just think that maintenance is really important, because if you get them checked once a year at least, you know, there could be something that on the floor and do some damage with the implant as well. So I think it's really important to get it checked once a year at least.
Yeah. How often were you going before when you had a socket?
All the time. I was getting sockets made all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that similar for you, Linda?
I only had a socket for 20 months, but I think I had my socket changed a few times in that 20 months time when I had my when I had the socket. So enough in that short amount of time.
So it's a significant reduction then from osseointegration.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. We've got a question asking, what can you give a timeline of when you were able to do certain things? So maybe like your first steps after osseointegration, you know, your first like long distance walk or something like that. What were the sort of timelines of these things? Yeah, I mean, you don't have to give we don't need a date and time, but just kind of, because I think that's what a lot of we get asked a lot is people trying to understand, you know, how soon after I get osseointegration is my life going to go from A to Z. And so I think anything that you can say that kind of helps people understand how quick they might be able to achieve, or not how quick they might be able to, but how quick you were able to achieve certain goals.
I mean, I was having a look back the other day trying to sort of figure some of these things out when someone was asking me a question, and looking back at some of my photos, I was in the gym in the November working out. I know I did still have a crutch, walking with a crutch, but I was, you know, working out in the gym in the November after having it in the September. So that's one thing. Walking wise, I don't know, as in I can't remember when it was when I was walking without crutches. I mean, I couldn't tell you the timeline, but like I sort of said, once they had us up, I mean, they had us up walking within a couple of weeks, I think, with the crutches. But timeline wise, I don't know. Penny, do you?
I reckon, like for me, to have my life fully back to how I wanted it, with my expectations of osseointegration and what I expected and where I would be, it was at 2 years. To be doing everything that I was doing.
Yeah.
Prior to that, it was all in stages for me. Between integration down to socket, down to 2 crutches, then 1. So it was a slower process.
Okay.
Mine was definitely a lot less than that. I probably would have said, like 4 months or something.
Wow. A big difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might be a bilateral thing too. Like, I don't know.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, that's probably a factor in it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that's interesting, because that just goes to show again how everyone's situation is so different.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
There's not really any rules around it. You just got to see how your body responds and what condition you were beforehand too. And I think any word of wisdom, if I could redo it again, I probably would have put more energy into building up my glutes and building up my legs to have a bit more of substance around it, as opposed to what there was. Yeah, they were quite wasted away muscle groups from the socket wearing of 5 years. So if I had my time again, that's probably what I would do in the lead up to the surgery.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Another question then that we've had is, the immediately post-surgery, what was your pain like, and how soon did you get your prosthetic?
Probably would have had my prosthetic in there probably 3 weeks. I think I had my prosthetic. Pain straight afterward probably wasn't too bad. But then, like I sort of said, once it sort of, I think we had the, what type? We had the, oh God, what is it, Penny, when the needle straight into your leg? What's the numbing thing, whatever? Unless once the God, I lost words. What's that? The spine and the needle. What's that called? Stop laughing at me. What's the?
No idea.
When you have a baby and you
An
have
epidural.
That
Epidural.
Ah,
There we go.
I think once that wore off, I think it wasn't too pretty. I think I sort of said, like, the first week it took a little while to sort of sort my pain meds out to what sort of suited me and that. But but then I think 3 weeks I had my leg.
I definitely had my,
if that, maybe earlier.
Yeah. So I think my legs were all set up in by APC, and I took them home with me, but I didn't actually put them on till further down the track. Once my loading was done, was before I put them on. Yeah.
Okay. Got a few more questions that have came through.
Keep going. You keep talking. I need to find another charger because this one's not charging.
It's all right. So, Penny, then we have another question.
Yep.
If you could would you have had the surgery sooner, or are you happy you tried with sockets first for as long as you did?
I think sockets was the only option for me anyway in New Zealand, but it kind of made me appreciate what osteo in me. So the sockets makes you appreciate osteo way more.
Yeah.
By the end of 5 years in sockets, I was so I don't know that I could have gone much longer than the 5 years that I did, to be fair. But yeah, I think emotionally and financially and all that kind of things that you have to consider also, for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Linda, I don't know if you heard that question, but somebody had asked. Oh, sorry, I've lost the question. They'd asked with the timeline that you went to from having sockets to osseointegration. Are you glad you experienced sockets for as long as you did? Do you wish you went for osseo sooner, etc.? Or are you happy with the timeline?
No, I think I'm happy with the timeline. I think like Penny was saying, which I heard that it makes you sort of appreciate a little bit better with the osseointegration, having the socket first. So no, I'm happy that I went through to actually experience what it was like in a socket rather than jumping straight into osseo.
Okay, lovely. Jade has asked, what were your hesitations going into the surgery, and how do you feel about, like, looking back at those hesitations? How do you feel about them now?
I honestly didn't have any hesitations. I knew exactly that it was the right option for me. I'd done a lot of research. I'd seen Munjid's other patients, and he'd set me up with other people. We'd done lots of chatting. So I was really confident that it was the right decision. I was having really bad experience with sockets, so I knew that it couldn't get any worse than that. And I had a realistic time frame of what my recovery was going to be. So I went in really prepared. Yeah. I honestly didn't have any hesitations. Like, I have friends say to me, did you question that you were doing the right thing? And I never questioned that with me. I knew that I was doing what was right for me at the time. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, same. I didn't have any hesitations either. Okay. And I think if you did, then you really need to sort of stop and think that if that's what you really want, because it's, you know, it is a major surgery. I think that's probably one thing sort of that you sort of worry about, that you're putting yourself through a major surgery, but I had no hesitations in having the osseointegration.
Okay. Sai Musunaru has asked, I'm doing a school project on osseointegration in comparison to the socket prosthesis. What would you say are the main differences?
Oh,
of course, it's not actually having something attached to your leg. With osseointegration, because it's directly integrated into your bone, it's more natural. So your gait is a lot more natural than it would be with a socket. I think that's one of the things. You don't have to worry about, you know, as a socket we were saying before, as in having to get your socket changed every so often. You don't have to worry about any type of changes within your stump. Because, you know, you don't have that bucket on your leg, changing the socks, you know, that type of stuff. Penny?
Yeah, all of that. And just the mobility wise for me is the biggest change. We're so much more mobile with osteo than I ever in sockets. And I'm able to live life fully, as opposed to was the biggest game changer for me.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. Let me just refresh my questions chat and see what else we have. So thank you everybody so far for the questions. We've had a lot of good ones. See if we've got any good ones that I've missed. Sorry, my chat is a bit delayed. It's just buffering currently. I suppose, is there anything from you two that you'd like to share with anybody who's considering osseointegration or has just had osseointegration? Sort of any advice that you'd give them? I know you mentioned earlier, Penny, about just taking it slow and kind of going at their own pace. Maybe anything, any words of wisdom you might have for somebody?
I think a lot of it, if you're thinking about it, is making sure that it's something that you really want to do, and that you've got the mind to know that you're going back to the start again and you're rebuilding from there. And you need patience, which is never my strong point, but I've had to learn how to do patience, because the reward at the end is really good. And I guess for me, 2 years of rehab over 10 years, as 2 years is not a long time. When you think of it as my lifetime, 2 years was not long to commit to. But yeah, just make sure that you've got all your support around you and that you've got all your prosthetic team and your continued need in place to be able to support you through.
Yeah.
And just make sure too that you are like, once you get it done, it's not like it's done, you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's not like it's not like a socket that you need to be going and getting your sockets changed every so often depending on what you're seeing, but you still need to make sure that you do have your yearly visits with Munjid, because you get your x-rays done and they check how everything's going. You don't want to just get it and then forget about it and just think everything's like back to normal again, because I mean everything is back to normal as better than it was before, but you've still got to make sure that you are doing the right thing and looking after and getting all your regular checks and stuff.
And it's really good getting those x-rays every year too. You can see how much bone growth you've had in that time. First start, my x-rays, the bone around the implant was paper thin, and now it's insane how much bone growth I've got growing around. And that's purely because you're loading it all the time. So the bone's going to grow. And it's really interesting seeing how far that developed in the last year. And yours is the same, Linda, how much it's grown.
Well, like I said, I only had, it was like 20 months in a socket. And when we got the x-rays before I had the osseointegration, just to sort of see how your bone density was. It's amazing how much bone density in that short amount of time that you actually lose, because you haven't that, impact through the bone. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Lovely. Well, I think we're getting towards the end now. We've got a few final questions before we wrap up, and I will give you both your evening back. So I'd just like to remind everyone again, thank you so much for joining in and asking your questions to hear Linda and Penny's experience. We just have to put a bit of a thing in to say, like, anybody that is looking for exact medical advice, of course, please understand this is Linda's and Penny's experiences, and for official medical advice, you have to speak to a doctor or surgeon, just to let everybody know. So we've had a question saying, somebody had asked, do you still have any pain with the osseointegration, or was it only at the start? We have covered that one, but I'll just let you both answer quickly again.
No pain. Yeah, no pain.
Jurek has asked, do you have any odour with it? As he's heard, some people might have mentioned that they might have.
No. I think if you do have a bit of an odour, maybe get it looked into, because it could be an infection. So no, I don't have any odour at all.
No, neither. That's normally a sign of infection.
Yeah.
Sue Babs asked, what sort of diet would you advise?
We're saying, Penny, high protein?
High protein, clean diet, like
good
food.
Yeah, healthy. Yeah, clean foods, whole foods, drink plenty of water.
Okay.
Just stay away from I mean, I was never a big fast food eater and fatty food eater anyway. So just that healthy lifestyle.
Okay. Fantastic then. Well, that is a wrap on the first Osseo Talk. So thank you so much, Penny and Linda, for coming on and sharing your experiences. We really appreciate it. I think I speak for everybody that's watched and has had their answers questioned. Thank you so much for sharing, because I think everybody really appreciates it. For everybody that is watching, again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your questions. We're going to be doing more Osseo Talk. So if you didn't get any questions answered, do not worry, because we'll be doing more in the future with more patients. We'll be bringing surgeons on, etc. So, you can message us with your questions in your meantime, and we will be able to get questions answered for you. But again, thank you everybody for taking part. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you found some value in it. And I'll give everybody their evenings back now. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.